What's going on, guys? My name's Bill, and this is Tool Tech Tuesdays. On Tuesdays, I like to bring you guys tools that I've been using in my videos or that I've been using on projects in and around my garage. So I know a little bit different setup than my normal Tool Tech Tuesday video, but things have been kind of slow, still recovering from surgery. So things are kind of hectic here in the garage, so everything's a mess. But today's video, you know, when's the last time you were working on maybe some sort of automotive wiring? Maybe cleaning up some wiring in an engine bay, replacing or splicing in maybe like a new taillight like we did on Caden's 2002 Galant. You're working outside, it's cold, it's windy, you're trying to use a lighter to, you know, maybe add some heat shrink to the connectors. You only got one arm, so it's kind of hard to get down and, you know, shield that flame, and you're fighting with a lighter. And you don't necessarily want to bust out maybe a full-size heat gun, right? Because that's just not convenient. Maybe you're not working near anywhere where you've got power. So you need to pick yourself up a little multi-purpose butane torch soldering iron. Come in different flavors. This one's by Lexivon. Let's see if I can show you the name there. A little bit of a glare. You see that's Lexivon. I'll leave a link down below. They make this one. This one's actually what they call like their multi-purpose soldering iron. And they do make a torch also. But this thing I got specifically for doing wiring. I haven't tried the whole soldering iron attachment. Maybe we'll try it here in this video. We'll go live. We'll try it out. But what I got it for mainly was for doing, you know, connectors like these little solder heat shrink connectors. They're a little piece of heat shrink. See that red line right there has got a piece of solder in there. You put that over a joint and you heat it up, and it melts the solder and heat shrinks it all in one shot. So let me see if I can show you guys this thing. So here's the case for it. Comes with a number of different bits. I've got in there just like their normal, like little torch head in there. Got different soldering iron tips. It's also got this like hot knife tip, which I think might be really good for doing maybe some, you know, cutting out like Kaizen foam, stuff like that. And I'm actually going to use this, and we'll try it here on this video also. I want to notch out the foam a little bit more to fit when I have the tip on there. I just don't have to keep taking the iron apart to fit it in here. I'm going to notch that out. So we'll try the hot knife on that. But it also has this heat shield, this little deflector here. And what you do with that was a little blurry, sorry guys. You put that on the end of the torch there, like so. And then keeps coming up, it's not wanting to focus on this, it keeps wanting to focus on me, you know. I mean, can't blame it, right? But what you do is you got your couple pieces of wire here, and then you'd splice that together, and just give it a quick twist, put that little heat shrink solder connector on there, and it'll melt it all together. So I'm gonna get set up here a little bit. I'll try to bring the camera in here. There's not a whole lot of room. I got the D100 right here, workbench, a little cramped. But yeah, I'll try to get set up. Maybe I'll do it here in the vise. Bring it in a little bit closer, and we'll see how this thing works. All right, guys, so I got everything set up here in the vise. I got the wires inside that solder heat shrink connector. Fire up the torch. You can actually lock it, so you don't sit there and hold the trigger. Then I'm just gonna melt that solder. It's starting to bubble. Come on. There we go. It's kind of hard to tell. It started to char the outside. I think it actually melted the solder a lot sooner than what I thought. I saw it kind of bubble and melt, but now that thing's firmly in there. Now let's say you're not using necessarily a solder-on connector, and say you're using a crimp-on connector. So you get everything crimped together, then you want to heat shrink it. So what you do now is you add your heat shrink on there, put it back in the vise here. Now what you do is you get your little heat deflector tip, put that on the torch, fire this thing up. Oop. And now you can melt that heat shrink really quick. You're not fighting with a lighter. In the wind, it doesn't matter. It's gonna heat and melt that heat shrink, making quick work of it. And you want to keep it moving, just like anything else. You don't want to overheat one area and burn anything, and there you go. You've now got it heat shrinked. All right, so now I want to go ahead and I'm going to try the hot knife out. Now I went ahead and I traced out basically with this tip on there into the foam. Now obviously you don't want to let this cool before you put this away in the foam, but I don't want to keep taking that tip on and off. Chances are I'm going to leave it on there most of the time. So I want to cut this foam out. So fire that bad boy up. Let's see what this will do with the, I'm not going to be able to get real precise here, but let's see what this will do with this foam. I don't want to, I've never used it for this, so I have no idea how this is going to react. We're doing this live, guys. Doing it live. Okay, it's cutting through. It's melting it. I'm trying to be as precise as I can on that line, but it's not really the point of this. But you could use it for doing foam cutouts in your toolbox. It's just a hot knife. It's not pretty. Definitely not a precision type of tool. Now let's see if I can cut out the smell of burnt foam. Yummy. It's not bad. It's working. Said it's not a precision tool, but in a pinch, it'll work. Clean this up a little bit more. It's definitely burning the shit out of the foam. That thing definitely gets hot though. I think they say it gets to like 1200 degrees or something like that, and I think is what the documentation says. Again, I'll leave a link down below to the tool. Go to Amazon, check it out. It's like $35, I think, for this thing. It's not bad. Not bad at all. Now, I can just take the hot knife off once it cools, once the whole tip cools. Now I have a place to put that whole thing right inside there. Not bad. I'm set back up in the bench, in the vise, and I've got the wires spliced together. Now I'm going to try soldering them. Like I said, you can tell the tip's never been used for this. I've never used it for soldering. But we're going to, again, fire this thing up. Lock it into place. The kit even comes with a little bit of solder. So I'm going to give this thing a shot. I've got no flux on here, anything like that. I'm just going to give this thing a shot. First, you want to try to kind of prime your tip a little bit. Just help solder flow. Now, I wouldn't use this for like a lot of soldering, but you know, in a pinch, if you just got a quick thing you need to do, this hopefully will work. You know, for real soldering, I would suggest a real soldering iron if you're going to be doing a lot of this, but get the tip primed up here. And go onto the connection. Got to get everything heated up. Easier if I had some flux, but I don't have any. There we go. It's starting to kind of flow. Try not to melt the wires. So I don't know how much I would recommend this for soldering because you're definitely overheating and melting the insulation. Yeah, okay. As you can see, it definitely damaged the surrounding insulation. Not ideal when it comes to soldering wires. So So yeah, I don't know how much I would recommend this for actually soldering a connection, but for like heat shrink or solder on connections, like the one that I did first, it was definitely good for that. I mean, it worked. It soldered it. You would definitely have to, it definitely damaged the insulation on the wire, so it's not ideal. But in a pinch, it'll work. And it's holding. I mean, it's a good solder joint. I'm pulling on it. So definitely worked, just not ideal as a soldering iron. So there you go, guys. A little multi-purpose butane soldering iron torch. Now, I would definitely recommend using it more as a torch than a soldering iron. So for heat shrink or those, you know, those solder connections that have the heat shrink built into them, all you gotta do is just melt the solder. Definitely good for that. For a soldering iron, now it does have larger tips, which may have been better for that wire test, but that was a kind of a really small gauge wire. It definitely damaged the insulation because it took a while to heat that wire up. Maybe with a larger tip might have worked better. So yeah, but in a pinch, it'll definitely work as a soldering iron, but I definitely recommend using it more as a torch. A lot of good uses for this thing, guys. Appreciate you guys for watching. Hit that subscribe, hit that bell, get back to work.